family drama, am I right? It can get pretty messy.
Oh, tell me about it.
But you want to know what's really messy?
What's that?
Family drama from like thousands of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
With ancient customs and societal expectations.
Right.
And even like divine intervention.
All in the mix.
Yeah, and that's what we're diving into today.
Sounded juicy.
The story of Judah and Tamar from Genesis chapter 38.
This one is a classic.
Yeah, it's like a hidden gem.
Totally.
Sometimes it gets overshadowed by like,
The big names.
yeah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
The all-stars.
Exactly. But tucked away in this chapter,
Mm-hmm.
there's this story
Yeah.
that deals with some pretty complex issues.
Oh, for sure.
Duty, deceit, justice,
Right.
and the surprising ways
Oh, yeah.
God's plans can unfold,
Right.
even when things get, well,
A little scandalous.
a little scandalous,
A
yeah.
little bit.
Okay, so for those who need a refresher,
Right.
we're talking about Judah,
Mm-hmm.
one of Jacob's 12 sons. He settled in Canaan, started a family.
Trying to do the right thing.
Seems like things were going according to plan,
It's at least at first.
at least at first, yeah.
Yeah.
And he marries this Canaanite woman, Shua.
Right.
They have 3 sons, Er, Onan, and Shelah.
3 sons.
Now, it's important to remember that back then,
Mm-hmm.
lineage and carrying on the family name,
Oh, yeah.
it was like everything.
It's huge.
Yeah, it wasn't just about inheritance.
Yeah.
It was about making sure the family,
Continue?
the family unit stayed strong
Mm.
and their legacy.
Absolutely.
So this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because the story centers around this ancient practice
Mm.
called Levirate marriage.
Levirate marriage.
Can you explain what that is
As
and
a-
why it's so important for this story?
Absolutely. So Levirate marriage,
Yeah.
it's outlined in Deuteronomy 25.
Okay.
And basically it said that if a man died
Mm-hmm.
without an heir,
Yeah.
his brother had to marry the widow, and their firstborn son
Okay.
would be considered the legal heir,
Oh, it was like carrying on the name.
carrying on that legacy.
Exactly, the inheritance.
Wow, so it wasn't just about love and romance, huh?
Not really, no.
It was more like I don't know.
a duty,
Yeah, a
to
duty
the responsibility.
to the family.
Yes, and making sure that family line didn't die out.
Wow. And the property stayed within the family.
Exactly.
But in this case,
Mm,
things take a really tragic turn.
they do.
So Judah's eldest son, Er,
Right.
he dies.
Yeah.
Genesis just says he was wicked.
In the eyes of the Lord.
Right, it doesn't get into
It
specifics.
gets a little vague.
Yeah, but his death really sets off.
This chain of events.
Yeah,
It really does.
that will test like all the boundaries
Uh-huh.
of tradition and like right and wrong.
It's about to get complicated, that's for sure.
Because now it's up to Onan,
The second son.
the second son, right,
Yep.
to fulfill his duty
Mm-hmm.
and marry Tamar,
Yeah.
Er's widow.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly a love story here.
No, not really.
It's more about duty and responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and ensuring that family's future.
Right.
So Judah tells Onan, do your duty.
Mm-hmm. But Onan's kind of a tricky guy.
Yes.
He knows the customs,
Yeah.
but he finds a loophole.
Oh, yeah.
He goes through the motions of sleeping with Tamar,
Okay.
but he deliberately spills his seed on the ground
What?
to avoid fathering a child.
Wow, so he's trying to
That would be his brother's heir.
get out of it.
Yeah, he wants to appear to be fulfilling his obligation,
Mhm.
but he doesn't want his own lineage
Overshadowed.
overshadowed by his dead brothers.
Smart, but not so smart.
Right.
Yeah.
But this defiance, it doesn't go unpunished.
Oh, no.
The text tells us that Onan's actions,
Mm-hmm.
they're seen as defying God's plan.
Big deal.
Yeah, disrupting that social order.
Uh-huh.
And he dies too.
Wow.
So 2 brothers down.
Oh, my God.
Tamar is still childless. You can like feel the tension building.
Oh, yeah.
What's Judah gonna do?
I don't know.
He's got 1 son left,
Right.
Shelah. But he's still young.
Mm-hmm.
And Judah, I don't know, maybe he's afraid
Of what?
that Tamar is cursed or a bad omen.
Interesting.
Yeah, he delays fulfilling his duty to her.
He does.
He tells her to wait till Shelah is older.
Oh.
Years pass.
Okay.
He never gives her to Shelah as his wife.
Wow, that's messed up.
It's interesting though, right?
Yeah.
But like, he punishes Onan
Yeah.
for not upholding this custom,
Right.
but then he doesn't do it himself.
It's a double standard.
It is, right. So what's going on?
Well, I think it shows how power worked back then,
Okay.
even within a family.
Yeah.
Judah's the patriarch.
Right.
He's the one in charge.
Yeah.
He can bend the rules.
To fit his needs.
Exactly.
And Tamar, as a woman back then,
Yeah.
she didn't have many options.
Not really, no.
So what does she do?
I don't know.
She's been denied her rightful place.
Right.
She's been deceived,
Right.
left in limbo.
Mm.
Does she just accept it?
What do you think?
I have a feeling she doesn't.
You have a good feeling.
She's a woman of action.
She's
She realizes Judah broke his promise,
okay.
and she comes up with a plan.
What kind of plan?
A daring plan.
Ugh.
And maybe some would say a scandalous plan.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
This is where things get really captivating.
All right, tell me more.
She takes matters into her own hands.
Good for her.
She disguises herself as a prostitute,
Wow.
positions herself on a road Judah's known to travel,
Okay.
and waits
She's taking a risk.
big time.
Yeah.
It shows just how limited her options were.
Mm-hmm.
She's been denied justice,
Right.
so she steps outside the boundaries,
To get what she deserves.
yeah, to secure her future.
That's right.
And Judah, completely clueless,
Oh, no.
falls right into her trap.
He doesn't recognize her.
Not at all.
Wow.
He approaches her.
Thinking she's a prostitute.
Yeah, his daughter-in-law in disguise
That's wild.
agrees to sleep with her.
Oh, my goodness.
Talk about dramatic irony.
It doesn't get much more ironic than that.
This is going to lead to a major confrontation.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what happens next.
But before anything happens,
Yeah.
Tamar demands a pledge from Judah.
A pledge.
A pledge.
Okay.
This little detail,
Right.
it's going to have huge consequences.
I bet.
She asks for his signet, his cord, and his staff.
Interesting.
This isn't just random stuff.
No.
This represents Judah's identity, his authority.
It's like giving away a part of himself.
Exactly. And Judah, blinded by, I don't know,
Desire.
desire, yeah.
Lust.
He agrees.
Yeah.
No idea how important this is going to be.
Oh, this is going to come back to bite him.
Oh, it definitely will.
Yeah.
So the deed is done.
Mm-hmm.
Tamar gets pregnant.
Uh-oh.
Now you can imagine in that society,
Mm-hmm.
getting pregnant outside of marriage,
A huge scandal.
it's huge. What happens when the news gets out?
I don't know. Tell me. Doesn't take long for the news to reach Judah.
Oh, I bet.
He finds out Tamar's pregnant.
Uh.
And he's furious.
Oh, wow.
Calls for her to be burned
What?
for harlotry.
He completely forgot
Completely.
that he's the one who slept with her.
The irony.
It's incredible
It really is.
how quick he is to judge.
Yeah.
Totally forgetting his own hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder,
What?
was this common back then?
I mean, probably.
Men in power,
Yeah.
just escaping accountability
It wouldn't be surprising.
for their actions.
Power dynamics were definitely different then.
Yeah, and women,
Especially widows.
especially widows,
Or anyone marginalized.
had very few options.
Yeah. For justice.
Yeah, the story doesn't shy away from that.
No, it doesn't.
But Tamar,
Yeah.
she's not just gonna take this lying down.
What does she do?
She's got a plan.
I knew it.
And it's brilliant.
Tell me.
They bring her out for punishment. And she reveals the pledged items.
Oh, wow.
Judah's signet, cord, and staff.
No way.
And she says,
What does she say?
the father of my child
Yeah.
is the man who owns these.
She doesn't name him,
No,
but she doesn't have to.
the evidence is right there.
Wow.
It's like this public exposure of
Yeah.
Judah's actions,
Mm-hmm.
his hypocrisy.
It's all out in the open.
Totally shifts the power dynamic.
I bet.
Judah's forced to admit he did wrong.
He can't deny it.
He admits he didn't give Tamar to Sheila,
Right.
and then, get this,
Okay.
he says she's more righteous than him.
More righteous.
That's the word used.
What does that even mean?
It's really interesting. Is it
Mm.
social standing,
I don't know.
moral integrity,
Maybe.
war?
It's complex.
It is.
Open to interpretation.
That's what I love about these stories.
You're-
Some scholars say it's about Tamar following the spirit of the law,
Yeah.
even if her methods were unusual. Others see it as her courage, her fight for her right to a lineage.
Yeah.
It's almost like the text wants us to think about it.
To wrestle with these questions.
Exactly. What is justice?
Mhm.
What is morality?
Right.
What does righteousness even mean?
Especially in a system that isn't perfect.
Yeah, that's what makes this story so relevant today.
Thousands of years later.
It makes us examine our own ideas
About right and wrong.
about right and wrong,
For sure.
about justice,
Especially in systems that favor the powerful.
especially in those systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Judah, he's humbled, he's admitted his faults,
Okay.
but the story's not over.
What happens next?
Tamar is pregnant.
Right.
And that pregnancy,
Yeah.
it's about to have some huge implications.
I can't wait to hear about it.
You ready for this?
Oh, yeah, tell me.
She gives birth to twins,
Twins.
Perez and Zerah,
Wow.
and their birth.
Yeah.
It's just as dramatic
Oh.
and symbolic as everything that came before.
I love it when that happens.
I know, right?
Okay, tell me more about these twins.
What makes them so special?
I'm hooked. Well, twins in ancient stories, you know,
Yeah.
they often represent like disrupting things, like things not going according to plan.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and their birth story.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of these like symbolic details
Okay.
that hint at their future roles.
Right, like that whole thing with the scarlet thread.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that from Genesis 38.
Uh-huh.
One of the babies, Perez,
Yeah.
he puts his hand out first.
During the delivery,
Yeah, and the midwife
she ties a scarlet thread around it.
to mark him as the firstborn.
Okay.
But then he pulls his hand back in.
He does.
And his brother, Zerah,
Yeah.
he comes out first.
Oh, wow.
It's like he's trying to get ahead of his brother.
Take his place.
Yeah, usurp his position.
Wow, the midwife even says,
What does she say?
"How did you break through? This breach be upon you."
And that's where Perez gets his name.
From the Hebrew word for breach.
Right, the one who breaks through,
Mm-hmm.
disrupts expectations.
All right there in the name.
I love it when these small details
Yeah.
add so much meaning to the story.
They really do.
And what about Zerah?
Zerah, his name's connected to the color scarlet.
Right.
And in the Bible, scarlet,
Yeah.
it can mean all sorts of things.
What's it?
Sin, bloodshed,
Wow.
but also royalty, redemption.
So it's a really complex symbol.
Yeah, it is,
Adds another layer of intrigue to the story.
for sure.
So I've got these twins,
Right.
each marked with symbolism,
Yeah,
representing different aspects of this scarlet thread.
exactly.
But how does this all connect to the bigger picture?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, what happens next?
Well, remember,
Yeah.
Judah is one of Jacob's 12 sons,
Right?
the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Uh-huh.
His descendants,
Yeah.
they're super important
To God's plan.
to God's plan. Exactly.
Okay, so Judah's kids, they're pretty important
Yeah, they are.
in the grand scheme of things.
That's right.
So how do Perez and Zerah fit into all this?
Well, it's through Perez
Okay.
that Judah's line becomes really central.
Okay.
Generations later, we find out
What?
Perez is an ancestor of Boaz.
Wait, Boaz.
Yeah.
From the book of Ruth.
That's right.
Wow, okay.
And Boaz marries Ruth,
Right.
whose story is amazing in itself.
Yeah, so many twists and turns in that one.
Totally. And they have a son, Obed.
Obed. And he becomes the grandfather of
King David.
King David.
Yes.
Okay, now it's all coming together.
Right.
We're talking about the lineage of King David,
Uh-huh.
one of the most important figures in the Bible,
Absolutely.
often seen as like a prototype for the Messiah,
Exactly.
and David's lineage
It's traced so carefully.
throughout the Old Testament.
Yeah,
And then it leads to the genealogy of Jesus in the New Testament.
that's right.
So Judah and Tamar's story, it's not just family drama.
It's so much more.
It's about laying the foundation for a lineage
Yeah.
that leads to Jesus.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
God working through flawed people
Mm-hmm.
and situations that seem scandalous.
To fulfill his purposes?
Exactly.
Like those scarlet threads?
woven into history.
Connecting everything.
It's amazing.
It really is mind-blowing how
It is,
how
right?
this story
Yeah.
that could have been just a footnote
Mhm.
becomes so central.
It changes everything.
Yeah, it challenges our ideas of a righteous lineage.
It does, doesn't it?
It's not always neat and tidy.
Not at all.
And speaking of challenging ideas,
Yeah.
I keep thinking about Tamar's actions.
Mm.
How should we, like today,
All right.
view the morality of her deception?
That's a good question.
It seems wrong to us,
Yeah.
but was it back then?
Well, we can't just apply our modern values
Right.
to a society from thousands of years ago.
Okay, so maybe back then,
Yeah.
deception wasn't always seen as wrong.
It might have been justified in certain situations.
Like Tamar's.
Some scholars believe she was upholding the Levirate marriage custom.
Even if she did it in an unusual way.
Exactly, because Judah didn't do his part.
Right, he didn't give her to Shala.
Exactly. So she took matters into her own hands.
To make sure her husband's line continued.
Right, and Judah admits she's more righteous.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It shows that even in a patriarchal society, there was some recognition of the injustice she faced.
Yeah, so power dynamics.
Even in rigid social systems,
They're not always absolute.
people can still find ways to resist
To challenge expectations.
and fight for what's right.
Wow, what a journey the story has been.
It really has.
We started with ancient customs,
Yeah.
dealt with moral dilemmas,
Mhm.
and uncovered this lineage.
That connects to the core of Christianity.
It's amazing.
It is.
What does it all mean for us today?
I think it shows us that these ancient texts,
Yeah.
they still speak to us.
Even though they're from a different time and place,
Exactly. They deal with the human experience.
the things we still struggle with.
Justice, tradition, individual agency.
Those themes are just as relevant today.
Absolutely.
It's like these stories aren't just history,
Mm-hmm.
they're alive.
They are.
They offer insights into who we are,
Where we come from.
the power of redemption.
It's all there.
So, as we finish our deep dive,
Into Judah and Tamar.
yeah, I want you to think about this.
Okay.
What does Tamar's story tell us about the importance of challenging norms
Right.
and fighting for justice?
Even when it seems impossible.
Even when it seems impossible, yeah.
That's a powerful question.
It is, something to think about.
For sure.
Well, that's it for our deep dive.
Into this amazing story.
Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time,
See you then.
keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.
See you later.